Excuse me. Just had a little internet sneeze. We had a little internet sneeze. What's going on, internet? Special Tuesday early morning live stream coming at you. Freshly showered, smelling like a daisy, not dirty and nasty like normal on my evening. I'm all spangly and shiny. Moisturized, freshly moisturized. Bringing it this morning. Oh, Nisi, first one to the live chat. Whoops, I gotta do it this way. Ugh. Nisi, first one to the chat. Big Pedro, internet! What's going on, Big Pedro? Time for some surprises! It's kind of cool because in the morning here I can yell as much as I like. I'm not gonna wake anybody up or anything like that, right? Sergeant Tank is here. Good morning, you guys. I know that on the East Coast it's not morning anymore. Realistically, you're all probably getting ready for lunch. It's 8:43 a.m. here in the Pacific time zone, so it's still technically morning. And we're coming at you with an early morning live stream of nonsensory. I've got a few things to talk about today, but otherwise we'll probably just have some goofy, fun live streaming. I don't have a bunch of video segments today because we're saving those for the later typical evening live stream, so you'll have to bear with just kind of staring at my face, and maybe we'll pop over to some of the video from Sunday because we didn't really get to highlight the video from Sunday too much. And as typical, during the day, my phone is making all sorts of buzzing sounds and whole things happening. I forgot I got to throw it over there on the ground. South Carolina Cichlids, what is going on? Thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all interneters out there doing internet type stuff. So why do we have a early morning live stream today on Tuesday? I will tell you why. Let's bust into that. This week's job was painting a house, and yesterday managed to bust out and paint like a madman and paint a whole entire house in one day. Basically perfect weather. We lucked out, and we got perfect weather. The guy I painted the house for had done all the prep work ahead of time, so well, most of the prep work, the tape and taping off the windows and taping off all the trim and that kind of stuff. So we were able to get a whole entire house painted in a extra long Monday shift. So basically did a double yesterday, and which is why there was no live stream last night. So if anybody was wondering why there was no live stream on Monday night, that is why. I was basically working overtime to get that done, which means that I can get a bunch of stuff done today. And part of what I'm going to get done today is go to a local fish store. I want to check out, I'm trying to get the stock list together for the reef tank because I have some plans for the reef tank, which we will talk about shortly. I also need to go to one of our local cable providers and return some of their old equipment. After about 40 conversations with those guys, they said, no, don't worry about the old modem. It's not a big deal. 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 And then 4 months later, I get a bill for it. which clearly it's not a big deal for them if they just send me a bill later and I have to pay them for it. Obviously, that's not a big deal to them, so I'll have to be going to the local interneter. I don't want to really mention any companies. It doesn't really matter, but I have to go there and drop off their old equipment and make sure that they don't charge me for it. So that will be one of the errands I have to run today, which is kind of not a big deal because it's sort of on the way of where I'm going to go take a look at some saltwater fish. Matt Guillemette, I never know how to say this guy's last name. Matt G, what up? And V-Stag is here. Also, right on. Hey, thanks for coming out, guys. I guess maybe Tuesday morning's a good time. I would love to do more daytime live streams, but unfortunately all these work projects get in the way of doing work with work and worky work McWorkerton. But I have figured out what is going to go into the reef tank, so let's jump into that. Because I feel like we've warmed up the carburetor on the live stream here. We've got enough gas flowing into the carburetor on the computer here to get a full live streamy McStreamerton. So the 100, those of you that have been tracking, I have a 180-gallon reef that I've been working on setting up, which will eventually be a mixed reef tank. But I figured out, after a little bit of deep thought and meditation whilst quietly listening to my inner Aquaman, I figured out what the main stock list is going to be in the reef. Kevin is asking, did I get the scape done in the reef? Okay, I'll get to that in a minute, Kevin. I will definitely answer that in a minute. But I want to talk about what the fish stock list is going to be. So as you guys know, I am wildly all about gobies. I have a fascination with gobies, whether they be Watchman gobies or engineer gobies, or we have currently have a diamond spot goby in the tank right now, along with the Clausewitz Blenny, which I'll probably be adding some Blennies at some point, some more Blennies later on. But I want a school of firefish goby. I know that that is probably boring to some of the really high-end reefers out there, the reefers that are wild about crazy, uncommon fish. But I want a school of firefish because there's realistically two fish that you ever really see that have a good school and a good personality, and obviously that one of those would be clownfish. And admittedly, at some point in time when we have a bigger amount of property, I will someday do 100 to 200 fish clownfish school someday. Not now, but the other large school I want is the firefish. That's the other one that you see, because they work so well in larger groups. You get 5 to 20, and they work really well being in a large group. And then here was the thing. So what I started doing is I started doing some research into the firefish goby to try and figure out their breeding behavior, because I wanted to sort that out. And it turns out that is sort of lacking as far as what I could find in my initial kind of searches. So I spent a little bit of time searching around and trying to figure out, like, if people have been breeding them. And apparently some people have been breeding them, but their breeding behavior is a little bit odd, and the follow-through on the actual breeding has seemed to be a little bit lacking out there. So what I think realistically we're going to kind of be pushing for in this tank is to get a good-sized school of firefish, and then try and do our best to observe their breeding behavior and possibly see if, because spawning has happened a lot, but I haven't seen a lot of people out there that have actually raised any of the eggs or done anything along those lines. So I think that's one of the things that we're going to be looking into. As Kevin's saying, he digs the firefish, but he don't have a lid for the bow front, for his bow front tank, and his foxfish chases them and makes them jump out, which I think right now is going to be a really good opportunity if I establish these smaller fish before I add anything like a hippo tang or anything that is sort of lined up, because I know Potato has a tang fish that he wants to rehome up here at some point. So there will be some bigger fish, but I want to get them. I want to get these smaller schooling fish established. Whoa! What the hell was that? I don't know if the mic picked that up, but there was like all of a sudden a fire truck right outside my window and then was gone. And pretty much gave me a heart attack. So that was interesting. That was an interesting little moment. I hope wherever that fire truck is going, I hope everyone is okay and it's just a smoke alarm or something. But that was wild. So much for live streaming. You could see things happen sometimes. I don't know why that gave me a heart attack, but it popped up all of a sudden. It was crazy. All right. Ruben's here. Hey man. Hey Ruben, what's going on? Good. Glad you could make it to the live show. I know that the late night live streams have been a little bit difficult for people to get to, because I do them at 8 o'clock, and a lot of people in the U.S. and stuff are stuck sleeping or whatever. McMurray Farms. Oh, I've never seen a McMurray Farms. What up? You're new to me. Hey. Hello. Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know. There was just suddenly a fire truck at like full siren and everything and just blasting. It was weird. But anyhow, let's get back to the firefish we were talking about. I want to get the small schooling fish before I add any big fish in, like a foxfish or a tang or anything like that would essentially harass anything that would be added after the fact. So I want to approach this reef. This essentially is going to be a mixed reef tank. So if anything's not really reef safe, it's not really going to be able to go into this tank. Because of a lot of the soft corals that I'm going to want in this reef. Frog spawn, as much as a dork that I am, frog spawn is my favorite coral. Hammer coral, frog spawn, all those little bubbly guys, those are my favorites. But I will be doing some SPS and assorted other. Of course, zoas will probably come in at some time, along with assorted stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be doing chalice or anything really long-term growers like that, mainly because I would have to necessarily get the thing to get the tank set up exactly how I want it. I don't know if I'm going to have chalice in there and that kind of stuff, but the frog spawn, I just love it. Hammer corals, I love them, and they're really good. And I know at some point in time I will add a pair of clowns or something like that to it. So I'm going to need some anemones or a really big frog spawn or something along those lines for them to host. So it's really, some of it's going to come down to availability. Actually, I've gotten involved in some of the local reef groups on like Facebook and stuff like that that are really quite active. So that will be that actually is going to be pretty beneficial. One of the things, so where I moved from up in Seattle, I moved down to the Tacoma area down here. Planted tanks and stuff are pretty prominent up in Seattle, which is fantastic. That's totally cool. There's not a whole lot of reef stuff going on up in Seattle. But moving down to the south end, the reef groups down here are really, really, really active, even though there isn't that many stores or anything like that down here. There are a few, and I'm not going to name any of them unless they want to give me a buttload of money to talk about them. Let's be real here. I mean, I would do a commercial for a fish store. That would be cool. And actually, yesterday, we'll talk about here later in the stream. I did stop by a store that we're going to talk about later on. But Eric Kuchin, what's up? And Patrick, Mr. Waterboxes himself, is here. McWeary Farms, check out my channel. I'm new, but I'm good. Okay, well, I'll check out your channel if I get a chance. If I get a chance to check out your channel for sure. But as Sergeant Tank was saying, we've had surprises already. Hopefully the UPS guy doesn't like crash through the window or something at this point. But yeah, I think ultimately that's going to be my plan moving forward with this, with the reef here. So like I said, I'm going to probably try and source somebody that has, 10, 15 firefish, and get them relocated fairly soon. As you guys know from Sunday, I've been mixing a bunch of water and doing pretty regular water changes with the reef, just to help keep it established as it's growing right now. And I need to source some copepods. That's going to be copepods and amphipods are kind of the important step right now. And I think later today I'm actually going to rebuild a refugium chamber in my sump. So I would pay attention to video up and coming with that. Just doing a little bit of acrylic work and making some stuff. And so we'll be doing that probably later today. That'll probably come up in one of the live streams later this week. We do have some on a personal note. Victoria does have surgery tomorrow, so that we have scheduling things has become pretty difficult in the last 2 weeks. So hopefully moving forward in this next 2-week period, things will kind of stabilize and we'll be moving along and our schedule sort of making sense again. So that will be pretty good. And Brian's Aquatics is here, new to the channel. Saw V-Stag's live post, thought I would check you out. Okay. Hey, thanks for coming out, man. New subscribers are always welcome. Ow, what the? Apparently got a cut on my arm from something. Weird. Kevin Hayes can keep all the torch and wall hammer alive, but always kill off frog spawn and branching hammer. Don't know what's up. That is weird. That is... torch and wall hammer should be pretty close to the same water parameters and stuff as frog spawn and branching hammer, which that sounds odd. I wonder if maybe if you have something weird going on with your spectrum on your light, maybe that might be a slight issue because maybe your water quality is good. I don't know. That is, you kind of stumped me on that one. I don't know why. In all my experience working with reefs and stuff, those normally would do well. That is weird. Those would normally do well together, and that is odd why that would be. Yeah. As Patrick was saying right there, those are all kind of euphyllias, so they should all be pretty close. So, yeah. Oh, Renan is here and wondering why I combed my hair. I didn't comb my hair. I took a shower. This is how I start my day. This is how I start my day, all bright and shiny, and then by the end of the day, I look like I've been hit over the head with an ugly stick and rolled through the dirt. So I didn't comb my hair. I have no product in my hair. This is just the effect of rinsing it with clean water. Victoria gets super always wonders why I don't wash my hair. I don't wash it. I honestly just rinse it out. Is that gross? It doesn't smell bad or anything. It's not dirty. I just like agitate it with hot water, and maybe that's too much information, but it doesn't smell bad or anything. She doesn't understand how my head isn't dirty if I don't use shampoos on my hair all the time. But just one of the benefits of accidentally being me, I guess. But yeah, I didn't comb my hair. It was just wet from the shower. And the guy I got my haircut from about a month ago this haircut is running out. It's time to get a new haircut. My hair grows pretty quickly. It grows rapidly. So hopefully I might see if he's available today. Maybe head over to the barber and get spiffed up, and hopefully my lady will appreciate my spiffiness. Whoa, So water's great. I do have a cheap Chinese box LED. Yeah, so you got maybe one of the black box LEDs. Maybe something weird is going on with that. I've had real mixed results with those black box LEDs. I have some myself, and it's typically what I use these days because I can't afford, like an Ecotech or a Radon or whatever, any of that kind of stuff. I can't afford it. It's just too expensive. So I've gone with the black boxes, and like I said, I really have mixed results with them. Sometimes they work great. Sometimes they work god awful. Sometimes they bleach things out terribly. But the cost versus effectiveness, I've been a fan of them because of the fact that the cost is pretty low. So it's not really something that would keep you away from maybe trying something else or whatever. That's why I've stuck with them, because typically they're about $100 investment, and they do have a tendency to work. So that is why I've been with those. I haven't really had a chance or an opportunity to dump very much money into some really expensive lights. I think at some point in time that might be worthwhile venture for me, but right now I'm going to stick with my cheap boxes. But I would maybe see one of the easiest things here is to get a par meter from a local fish club. Typically you can, like, if a local fish club might have one, but then again, I don't know. I mean, Kevin, you are in Florida, so it's hard to say what exactly could or couldn't be going on in Florida. But I would check into maybe a local fish club, maybe have a par meter that you could throw in there. I know Corey from Aquarium Co-op posted a video just the other day of actually using the par meter. I think he borrowed from the fish club, or maybe he owns his own now, but it looked exactly like the one that I borrowed a while back from our local fish club. So maybe he borrowed it, or maybe he just has his own same unit now. But that is a really helpful thing. I've used those before, but I don't actually own one myself. But the one thing that I can recommend that I do know is that local fish clubs may or may not normally have one. Oh, Kevin, yeah, that's probably a good idea. To maybe get a nice, throw some T5 bulbs up there and then see how they react to that. That would probably actually, yeah, that is a really good idea. Didn't think about that myself, but that is a great idea to maybe get like a T5 fixture with some new bulbs in it, and see how those corals are reacting to that T5 light, and maybe that could be a really good indicator of whether or not maybe that your LEDs are not supplying the light for those that properly. Because if the water's testing out good, and your magnesium, your calc, everything is all in, your parameters with all that were all good, then that might be a really good way to do it. Yeah, that's good advice from Kevin Hayes, straight out of Florida. Yeah, I would maybe get a T5 or something, throw some new bulbs in it, and then see what that does. Oh, hey, we got to do the air quotes advertising thing here. It's advertising time. The advertising here is basically just how, if you would like to support the channel here, how you can go ahead and do that. My goal is to have zero advertising ever ever again and be able to turn off all the YouTube stupid ad at the beginning or wherever YouTube decides to put ads in, to turn all that stuff off. And also, we have some really big goals here of stuff that we want to do project-wise in the future that I just can't afford to do. So if you want to support the channel, you can always super chat. That is one easy way that a lot of people do. You just click the thing down at the chat and donate $100 billion. So just be sure to have Jeff Bezos' routing numbers ahead of time before you throw the $100 billion over, just to make sure that the transaction works properly. But you guys can always super chat, and then the other ways that you guys can contribute is what is I'm considering to be a little bit of an easier way to do it, which is through the Patreon channel. A lot of people ask for me to get a Patreon channel, which is up and running, has been up and running for about a year now or something like that. But we do have a bunch of people that I'm super appreciative of that are contributing on the Patreon channel, which is, I just posted the link into the chat. So some of the people on there: KZ Ellis, Matt G, who was here earlier, Jennifer Saracino, M. Den Hollander, JT, Joel Gillett, Aquarium Co-op, Steve Skoglund, and Long Wu, some of our Patreon contributors. If you guys want to contribute on there, you will notice that on Patreon we have some really big goals and some regular sized economy goals. Our economy goal is to get to upgrade some of the equipment that we have here in order to expand this live stream format that we're doing with the new I actually own the camera. I just need to get a capture card and add that in and upgrade from the XSplit video encoder software that we have now, which costs money. So it's just working on trying to fundraise for that. And then you'll notice that there's a gigantic goal on there of 26,000 to get. We have it. We have the invoice. We just need to pay for it to order a 22,000-gallon tank. Is what that huge goal is for. Some people are confused. Some people were confused, going like, "Hey man, what's this crazy big ass goal for?" Well, I got a dream big, and so that is our big goal. That 22,000 gallon tank would actually be mobile. That could be loaded up on a semi and brought around the country. So that is the big crazy goal. It's to get a big giant tank that is actually a modular style tank that can be picked up by a semi and moved and, like, you know, brought out to Denver if we wanted to go to Denver for one of the conventions there or any of that kind of stuff. So that's the big giant goal with that. You can always go to darkstararts.com and click through the Amazon banner and go ahead and buy toilet paper, chocolate bars, and measuring tape. So you can go on there and buy whatever you want. If you go through darkstararts.com, that is my website. You can look at some of my art and some of my writing and stuff on there, and click through the Amazon banner. You go buy whatever you want. Doesn't change the price. Doesn't do anything like that. It just says that we sent you, and basically just does a bit of an advertising kickback, if that makes sense to you all. If it's super confusing and scary, do nothing. And just shake a water bottle like a weirdo. So you don't have to necessarily do anything. You can watch, click the subscribe button, and you know, share it on Facebook or whatever. And that is the advertising complete. All right. If you can't figure from any of those ways, then I don't know. There can't be any more ways than that. And those of you that have been wondering if I still have this mug, damn right I do. It is morning time here, so we gotta drink some coffee. It's just a smart way to go. Oh, what was Ruben was asking, why did I grow the mustache? I remember the old kung fu movies; they would have that style of beard. I don't like having a mustache. I have grown big-ass mustaches for different projects that I was involved in. One of them was an old-timey, not restaurant theater, I guess maybe restaurant theater, something like that. I've I also had a job that required you could either have a full beard or a mustache or a full goatee situation. But I just don't enjoy having a mustache on my face. That's why I shave this way. I don't like having a mustache. Having a mustache bugs me, and I'd bet $5 that it probably would bug Vicky. You know what I'm saying? For the smooches. Shit, I'd probably bug her. So that's why I don't grow a mustache. Even though I look awesome with a mustache, right? I look about 100 years older also. That doesn't help. I start to suddenly look about 60 years old. Kevin is asking, what would I put in that tank, like a giant planted teaching system or something along those lines? Exactly. There would realistically be zero limitation to what could be put into that tank. And essentially, doing a large format tank like that has zero limitations on what could go in there. I could realistically throw in just about anything in there, and it would realistically be able to. That system would be able to handle it. Honestly, at some point in time, I'd like to have 4 or 5 big tanks like that, and to be able to accommodate certain fish that you generally don't really have any opportunity to have any firsthand contact with or firsthand video with, other than Discovery Channel type videos or something like that, which to me are wildly entertaining and generally informative, but they don't go in depth with into the depth that I like to go into. Eddie's at work and just wanted to say hi. Hey, man. But a large tank like that, I really wouldn't be limited to any kind of stocking or anything like that. And that would be the big thing. Is that not only would we be able to do large biotopes, large plants also that mostly can't be put into our tanks. That most of us currently run at this point in time, that we would just really have no limitation on what could go on. We could also even stick a whole freaking tree in there for driftwood and that kind of stuff. But we could also, stopping that limitation in size, we could actually stock different groupings of fish and stuff that could actually have enough space to exist within a biotope that would be able to show people really a showcase in regards to how different species can coexist on a large enough space and be able to do a lot of crazy projects along those lines. Also some scuba scaping, which is always entertaining and great video to be swimming around and doing aquascaping while swimming underwater, if that makes sense. Let's see. Oh, you love coffee too. Okay, so here was the part of the video that I wanted to talk about, having visited a local store yesterday. I visited a local fish store up north, and I don't know that I necessarily want to name the name of the store, so I don't think that I will, because it just seems kind of rude, because my review is a little bit negative here. I just basically had a really bad experience in a local store that I think may or may not have some ongoing problems, and I couldn't really get a straight answer in regards to exactly what was going on with that store. Their whole entire reef section was sort of half-assed, emptied, and seemingly having some kind of problem going on with it. There was apparently a new area in the store that had birds and stuff in it. And the store was in complete disarray and reeked of bleach for some reason. And I was very off-put by having gone to the store. There was one thing that I did notice there that I was actually considering to purchase, which was a L245 or L45 platinum blue pleco. I believe that's the proper description of it. I'm trying to think of the exact number. Whatever. A very specific nice, fancy pleco was there. that was an astoundingly good-looking fish. $45 is what they wanted for it. So I was just kind of making a consideration of whether or not, oh man, I don't see this fish very often. I don't see fish like this very often. Maybe I'm going to consider buying it, and was just kind of checking it out and seeing what was going on. But I really felt like a $45, $50 investment for a store that was just in pure chaos. Realistically, it felt to me like an endorsement for a store that was just operating the way that it was, right? And so I ended up not making a purchase, or I was like, I was sort of on the fence about whether or not I was going to get that Pleco, because I have space for it right now with the 240 being kind of a freshwater mix. I could add that. That's a fish that I could add in, or I could even have just in the sump doing really well within that system. And then somebody who worked there decided to start screaming and yelling about how someone else was a dipshit in regards to something going on with the electrical panel. And I looked at the gal who was yelling, and I got pretty much the dismissal shutdown kind of situation, Biddy. And it was really off-putting, and it really is what put the final nail in the coffin of like, yeah, never mind, I'm not going to give any of these people my money. So I ended up leaving. But now I kind of have a little bit of remorse, honestly, that I didn't grab that fish, which is weird. That's just a weird part of like being human, It's like I made a decision and I stuck with it, but now I'm like feeling a little bit remorseful, which is kind of a stupid way to feel, but I guess that means that I'm still human, right? Well, that just I don't know. It was really off-putting, and I really don't like going to stores like that. But it also gave me a little bit of a clue in that when reading reviews about stores, it really easily could have been people going in to just seeing a bad time. So, or maybe those people came in and things were just in real disarray because of extenuating circumstances that people maybe don't know, or the people just don't know why the place was kind of a mess when they were there or whatever. Because the local store here that I typically go to, that's the freshwater store, that's the aquarium and garden company. I went online and I read all these bad reviews that like these people are like, oh, this place sucks, da, 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 da. And I went there and I was like, this is kind of what I want from a fish store, where it's not too assuming, it's not too crazy. The tanks were maintained, water quality and that kind of thing was going on. The local owner was there and that kind of stuff. So, and I read those kind of reviews and I realize that like, hey, maybe somebody came in at a time like I had gone to, where I had gone to this store and had a pretty negative experience. I could have easily written a review about it and just said that like these guys suck. But the other times I've been there, it was a pretty reasonable store, so maybe that is what's going on. And like Kevin's saying here, like rescuing a beta at a Petco, you're saving a fish or giving them a reason to keep selling them. That's that real catch-22. And I think a lot of us encounter this kind of problem. We go to stores where it's like, well, I want to get this fish out of here because I don't want it to die here in this weird dump of a store. But then you're kind of encouraging this sort of negative behavior. So that's kind of the conundrum that that's kind of one of the issues that is ongoing when we go to these kinds of stores and we see these big chain stores and stuff. And it kind of just leaves me with the question of what do we do? Like, what do we do as a community necessarily? Because the big stores like Petco and PetSmart and all that kind of stuff, I don't think that they're going to really go anywhere because they hit so much they hit so much of a diverse crowd, especially with their availability to have like dogs and cats and all sorts of standard issue pets that most people have. They're able to go through and supply to those people. So they have this large group of people that they're catering to. So I don't realistically think they're ever going to go anywhere. So it just kind of leads me to the question of like, what do you guys think that we maybe could or couldn't do as a community to, I don't know, possibly bolster some of these better stores that are out there? Like, I don't know. I was almost thinking like maybe an encyclopedia of local stores, like some kind of, top 5 or top 10 fish stores for like per state or something like that. I don't know. I was trying to brainstorm something that we could do, and I don't know. Maybe the collective YouTube community can start coming up with some ideas, and you can always post those down in the comments. But it really made me just kind of start thinking like, what could we possibly do? Because I don't think that necessarily an online, a 100% Amazon style like online thing is ever really going to work out realistically for. I mean, it would be weird to go on like an Amazon and order a fish and have it just like drop shipped to your house. Although we do ship them around quite a bit, but those are normally coming from a place that we know. So I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like what would be what could possibly be a positive influence, because like one of the things I want to do is with that giant modular tank is to be able to do some really big projects, and like reaching out to YouTube is a great way to get out some of the stuff that I'm doing or whatever. But I don't know what that does on a local level for certain people, or if we should maybe just try and keep like working on maybe a better shipping system or a better ordering system. I don't know. It's a question that I have. I do not have an answer for it, so I feel like a dipshit. I have a couple of ideas, but it is a question that I had in regards to having gone to a local store and gone like, man, this place, and I don't know anything other than from my end to, purchase from the stores that I know are good. Like the stores in Washington that I know that come to the top of the list would be like Aquarium Co-op up in Edmonds. One of the stores that I used to go to for my reef stuff no longer takes people coming in publicly, and no longer people can't go in there publicly. Yeah. Oh, maybe that's a good idea, Kevin. Maybe the good stores set up a Patreon where we donate for their advertisement purposes to get them a bigger audience. I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't donate to a shitty store either. That just would be a big waste of time. Ruben's gotten plants on Amazon, so I don't know. Maybe the Amazon type thing is the wave of the future. Maybe that's just the future, and being able to access the few good providers that are out there or something. I don't know. It seems like a weird topic, and I don't have an answer for it, but that's why I'm just putting it out there, I guess, to like, maybe we could brainstorm and come up with some kind of idea that may or may not be a better way for us to be as consumers, like maybe we want to consume stuff. As far as, so I, as I was talking earlier with the reef, one of the things I want to do with the reef is get all those firefish going and see if I can't breed some aquarium bred firefish. Doesn't seem to have been a whole lot of people to successfully get them to breed. But then what am I going to do once I have a whole bunch of them? Because I can ship them. I've done that in the past, and I don't think that that's something that I realistically want to do. But I don't know if there's an avenue here in the new area that I've moved to, I'll have to talk to some of the local stores and see what's going on. But then I have to do all that legwork. I have to do all that legwork, like driving around town and talking to people and going, oh, hey, is Bob here? Oh, no, Bob's not here. Steve's here, but Steve doesn't buy fit. Okay, so that's kind of why I was thinking that, like, maybe an encyclopedia, like an online encyclopedia or something along those lines. I mean, obviously you can Google search stuff and this and that, but I was thinking that maybe there could be an online resource that local stores could go to. So let's say, like, for instance, so Aquarium Paradise is one of the stores that's near here. And the Aquarium Garden Company and Aquarium Co-op up in Edmonds. Let's say they were all on this encyclopedia page, and they were going, okay, here's our stock list, here's what we got, and then maybe who's locally breeding these firefish or whatever we need to have, or we're looking for 20 of them. We're low on stock, we want to get 20, and then maybe like the local type enthusiasts could go on and then go, oh, hey, this store needs this many. I have those. I could supply those to the store. And then that kind of start making its rounds in that way, if that sort of makes sense. So, like, I have this, offer up to, you know, Aquarium Paradise or whatever, or whoever needed it, and then you could go, oh, I'll drive over there Tuesday at 5 o'clock, because that's when I can go drive them over and then hand them off and that kind of stuff. So maybe something along those lines, like maybe kind of building some kind of network in that way. Like I said, with air quotes, the encyclopedia idea, whatever you want to call it, to kind of start maybe a network of, I don't know. But then again, I guess everybody's in competition, and nobody would really want to be in cahoots if everybody's in competition. So I don't know. But it's a thought. It's a thought, and maybe you guys have some cool ideas, or maybe there's a thing I don't know about that does already exist out there, and then maybe you guys can clue me in and go, hey, dummy, somebody already did that. Here it is right here. And I'll go, oh, well, okay, smarty pants, thanks. So that was something that I was thinking about after having been at that store. But as most everybody is talking about in the chat there, I know a lot of home growers that only sell online. I think the good side of the fish community is already putting a dent in shitty stores. Yeah, I think that's one of those things that, like, I think a lot of the networking within YouTube and that kind of stuff. But I think that's realistically difficult for a lot of people to engage with. If if we're just uploading videos, I think it would be, it's difficult for people to, like, really use as a necessary resource if they, like, were specifically looking for something timely, if that kind of made sense. I don't know. It would definitely, I don't know. Like I said, it's just an idea, and it obviously needs a ton of fleshing out or something, but, and maybe there is something out there and I don't know about it, because I know Aquabid is a thing, but then you're still like eBay, so you're like bidding on something that, I mean, is it $5? Is it $10? We don't know. We're not really sure. The profile things on there have been hacked, and at certain times, I don't know. I don't trust Aquabid personally, but I don't know. Maybe a network kind of like Aquabid. I don't know. It's just a stupid thing that I've been thinking about, and it's kind of been bugging me, but maybe we'll figure that out. Oh, Danny's Aquariums is here with the winky eye. Oh, he's got the winky eye. But as Kevin was saying, shipping hurts if you're not buying like 30 fish or anything. Yeah, that's one of the big issues. Like, let's say I need 3 fish for my tank. I got to pay $40 in shipping to get them sent out. Things start to become cost prohibitive, and you may or may not know that one of the local stores will have something or whatever. But that's kind of one of the things that was popping into my head when dealing with kind of a store that seemed to be in like total disarray when I happened upon it happened upon it. Happened to it. You know what I'm saying. Y'all know what I'm saying, right? I happened upon that whole situation. But it just kind of was in my head that maybe that's something that would work in the future or something. I don't know, but it was just on my mind. But as a quick update, the 240 is going pretty well. I am actually waiting for some more filter floss before I do some big maintenance coming up later this week. Speaking of the UPS and the shipping and all that kind of stuff, I order my filter floss online and get it shipped here. I'm waiting for it to show up. It doesn't Amazon Prime today. It's just that mysterious free shipping, which none of us really seem to understand how or why or what that works, and there's never really a tracking number, so hopefully that comes in. But I am going to be doing some big-time substrate maintenance in regards to that tank. As you guys know, the 240 has a bunch of old recycled substrate that I added into it, which is causing a little bit of clouding because those killies that I added are extremely violent breeders and causing a bit of a problem. So I'm going to show you guys how to do a little bit of maintenance on that old substrate at some point in time, but I am waiting for some new filter floss to show up in the mail. Hopefully it'll be here today or tomorrow. That's what they're saying. So we'll see how that comes along, and I would hopefully pay it, you know what I mean, like see what's up with that, right? Because that'll be coming down the pipe. We end up doing that. Just got in a message from Al Commander. I just realized I've been unsubscribed from your channel. It occurred to me I had not seen any updates. For some reason, this has happened with a couple of other channels. Rico's Reef Tank told me they had he and a lot of his subscribers are having the same problem, and it was internally with YouTube. Yes. Okay. So that just came in, and this is something that I wanted to hit on. Okay. Because I talked about this a little while ago, and it seemingly some people were like, I don't want to hear about the ins and outs of YouTube or your stupid subscriber count. And I'm like, I know. I get it. I don't want to hear about that either, but I have been getting a lot of messages in regards to people losing subscribers, this and that, and the other thing. It had come up, I think about 250 or so subscribers have been eliminated from my channel. YouTube is doing a bunch of weird stuff. They are fixing things. They are going through stuff. They are changing things in the algorithm once again, and they're doing a bunch of stuff with things. So if you happen to have become unsubscribed or unnotification-ified, whatever you want to call that, notifications turned off for you, that kind of stuff, go ahead and take a look through your subscriptions and things and check and make sure that things are going properly the way that you want them to go. As far as on my end, I honestly just think it's kind of an entertaining thing to keep an eye on. I don't think it's a positive thing or a negative thing. Most of the support from this channel comes from you guys, the actual subscribers and people that chip in and that kind of stuff. So I've never really concerned myself too much with subscriber counts or any of that kind of stuff. I do watch it, and I think it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to keep an eye on it. But other than that, you guys have all been super cool as far as the support for this, so I just keep doing it because I think it's fun, because you guys are fun people to be around. And Punky Pam just showed up here so late to the live stream because it must be early. And Kevin Haves was saying I had to reset my alerts from the channel, but you were never unsubscribed. Okay. Yeah, so I know a lot of people have said that the alerts have been turned off, and they keep asking me when the live streams are going to be, and I can't tell you exactly when they're going to be other than give you a broad idea of when I shoot for. So I shoot for Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then in the weekends I try to do earlier streams. Unless Jeff Bezos comes through with that $100 billion super chat, it's going to be really difficult for me to be one of these daytime one of these daytime streamers, which is what I would rather do. I would rather do my streams around noon specific time, is specific standard time is when I would rather do them, but there's really no way to do it. There's really no way for me to do it during the day because I'm out on some kind of crazy job site hanging off a roof or a weird ladder or under a crawl space or whatever the hell I'm doing that day. So let's see what's going on here. South Carolina cichlids, YouTube had to jump when they started losing advertising. Might be blowback from that. That is one of the big things that is motivating what YouTube has been doing, but let's not confuse ourselves with what YouTube has been doing. YouTube didn't lose any money. It was generally speaking, it was most of the creators that lost some money, but a lot of people have really blown that out of proportion in regards to what money they were making or losing or any of that kind of stuff. If you were making $40,000 a month off of your YouTube channel and it dropped by half, you're still making $20,000 a month. So a lot of people that I've heard complain about it, it kind of fell on deaf ears because it's not really a complaint that makes any sense. But it's also one of the reasons why I like to have the Patreon page up. Because it gives you guys full disclosure as to what is funded and what isn't funded by your guys' contributions. And the fees from Patreon is a lot less than the YouTube fees. And Patreon also does the tax deduction, which is cool. They do they handle the tax deduction on their end, which YouTube doesn't. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But either way, I like the Patreon page because it actually shows you guys what's actually happening. I could come out in the middle of the month and tell you guys, I'm going to go jump off a cliff or whatever, this or that, the other thing, and you guys could turn off your funding of the Patreon if you wanted. So I think that the Patreon channel is kind of the Patreon page is almost like the best thing for you guys and for the channel, because if I give you guys a clear number that we're trying to hit, which is some of them are up there and there will be more added in as time goes on here, you guys will know what is getting funded and what isn't getting funded and what the total amount contributed to the thing would be, and what you guys would feel like is a real return on your money. So it's like I pay $15 a month for HBO and watch Game of Thrones, and you watch Ballers or Silicon Valley, which Silicon Valley is genius. But if those guys were like if HBO stopped making the stuff that I liked, I would be able to take my $15 a month back from them and just go, never mind, I don't want to watch your stuff, which is the same kind of thing how the Patreon works. Like if I just got on here and was I don't know, shooting microwaves with a shotgun, and you guys were like, this is the most ridiculous stuff, I don't want to have anything to do with this, then you could be somebody that goes, I don't want to have anything to do with this, I'm going to take my funding away. So that's kind of the reasoning for the Patreon and all that kind of stuff. And dealing with the YouTube thing, the YouTube controls all of whatever they're controlling, and they change and they control and they do what they want. You can pay YouTube to boost your channel up. You can pay other companies to with air quotes subscribe to you. There's a whole bunch of weird nonsense going on these days with certain things. So I don't necessarily put a lot of trust in what is going on there, other than they host and are able to put the videos up and that kind of stuff. So the reason why I wanted to pursue the Patreon page is that you guys can actually go on there. You can look, you can see what's going on, you can see who's contributing, who isn't contributing, and all that kind of stuff, and also know a full disclosure of what is going into it. But we're coming up on the hour mark. And Kevin was saying, I think if you did get funded, 5 o'clock Pacific would be awesome. Everyone would be off work, and it wouldn't be midnight in the South. Yeah. My main goal my long-term goal, if this channel was to get funded, I would like to do a noon live stream and a 5 o'clock live stream, and do 2 of them a day, one Monday through Friday is realistically what I would ultimately like to do. And then also do some weekend production videos that would come out on Saturday and Sunday, where I'd be able to do a 20 to 30 minute produced video, and have those come out on the weekends. So there's basically like a show to watch on the weekends, and then otherwise engaged during the week doing that, doing this live stream kind of format. But that realistically is the long-term goal. But right now I have to do it at 8 o'clock because I have to go out and make that mortgage money, make that bill money, make that electric money, make that water money. So that's just kind of how it works out right now. But we have hit the hour mark. I want to say thanks to everybody for coming out. I really do appreciate it. We don't have any super chatters today, so no thanks to any of the super chatters because there are none. But extra thanks to everybody kicking in on the Patreon page. I really do appreciate it. Posted it up there in case anyone is concerned. But that's what's going on today. Happy Tuesday out there to do this early live stream. This is a fun little break from the normal stuff. Hope everyone has a great day, and probably be back tonight. Maybe, not sure. We'll see. I'm not really sure what happened over there. I'll have to figure that out once the live stream is over. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. And that's it for today. Prepare your earballs while I find the button. Oh. Later.